Hey, it's John Marcotte, the Heroic Dad. I'm here at Empire's Comics Vault, and once again, I'm bringing you what books I think you should pick up this week at your local comic book shop. All right, the first book I'm going to talk about is Wonder Woman Annual Number 3. The reason we're bringing this up is that Wonder Woman is actually having a change in creative teams. We have Steve Orlando is going to pick up the writing duties. It was being written by G. Willow Wilson, who's kind of famous for being the original writer on Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. So Steve Orlando, fantastic writer. This annual is evidently setting up his run of the book. So it's going to be the thing that sets up the plot points for what's coming next for Wonder Woman after G. Willow Wilson gets finished. Looks like we have Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor there. Wonder Woman in her kind of spy outfit, and they are in Gorilla City, which looks like we're setting up a confrontation, maybe with Grodd, with Gorilla Grodd. In fact, I'm going to flip it open. I'm going to say yes. There's Gorilla Grodd right there, looking toothy. So if you're a Wonder Woman fan and you've been kind of intimidated by the book because we've been in the middle of a nice run by G. Willow Wilson, here's your jumping on point to pick up and find out what's happening next. Wonder Woman Annual Number 3. This is a place to start picking up the book to find out what happens next. My next book I'm going to recommend is Invisible Woman by Mark Waid. I can't say that this is the beginning of a story or a good jumping on point, but I haven't recommended this one yet, so I just wanted to get it in there. This has a couple of my favorite creators all wrapped into one. Number one, it has these beautiful Adam Hughes covers. You can see he's making Wonder Woman a little see-through. Adam Hughes is a good artist. He does drift a little bit to the cheesecake pin-up-y type of style, but I still like him. And this is written, though, by Mark Waid, who is one of our great comics historians. He's one of the guys that you really want if you're getting into the history of comic book characters. And what the story has been so far is this flashback back and forth in time. They set up that Invisible Woman was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while in the early days of the Fantastic Four, because Nick Fury really liked the idea of an operative who could turn invisible. This was before she even had the force field powers. So we're dealing with some of that old school spy intrigue and setting up a new dimension to Invisible Woman that we didn't know she possessed before, that she has this covert operative background, which I think is a kind of brilliant way to explain what she was doing back when they didn't have her doing much in her own book. So yeah, Invisible Woman number 4. We're in the middle of a story, so what I would say is if you like this, either wait for the trade paperback to come out or back up and buy 1, 2, and 3. It's still a good book. I wanted to plug it. Speaking of the Invisible Woman, we have this beautiful Tom Scioli Fantastic Four Grand Design. This is based on the X-Men Grand Design oversized books that were done a while back. They're from the Marvel Pop Art Productions. Just really, really beautiful books to look at. These are books that are intentionally drawn in kind of a retro Jack Kirby style. The pages are even intentionally aged and blurred, but they're very thick. It's just really kind of a luxurious book. This is really good paper, really nice looking comic, really dense amounts of information and fun old comic book stuff. This is highbrow, lowbrow comic book reading. The Fantastic Four are one of my all-time favorite comics. And this is a great standalone story with, I'm really sold on the visuals, the fantastic visuals. I love how they even made the logo look like the printing had gone offset a little bit, so that the letters had moved around on them while they were printing. Super fun looking book. I'm really looking forward to it. The X-Men Grand Design stuff was super good. So we are expecting great things from Fantastic Four Grand Design, and they have a number 1 out right now. I suggest you pick it up. Then we have 2 graphic novels to recommend. The first is SpiderGwen. This is the Latour and Rodriguez. This is the original run of Spider-Gwen in her own book. It is a massive tome, and this is much like the Ironheart that we had a couple weeks ago. Normally, I am not a fan of Marvel's graphic novels, not because the content isn't good, but because they have a tendency to overcharge for them. But these little digest versions of them, which are bigger than a regular book, are only $12.99, and this is collecting. What do we see here? Edge of the Spider-Verse, and it looks like it's collecting 12 different issues of comic book. So 12 issues for $12.99 is a supreme bargain. It means you're paying basically $1 and some change for every issue. And Spider-Gwen is a super fun character, one of the best designed characters I think that have come out in the past decade from anybody. She's just gorgeous to look at. You know, it's just a little bit of an interesting twist. She is the spider person in her universe. The spider, instead of biting Peter, bit his girlfriend, bit Gwen Stacy. She has her own compelling backstory, and a lot of the classic villains and heroes are given different twists in her universe. You may know her if you saw a little bit of the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, which was super good. And the rumor is that we're setting up to make her the star of the next Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. It'll be SpiderGwen, or they're calling her Ghost Spider. She'll be heading up the team. They're talking about doing an all-female team. Now, that's super early, and maybe that won't happen, but I think if we just keep pretending it's going to happen, they'll have to do it. So Spider-Gwen, a graphic novel, good for anybody, probably, middle school on up. And then the last book that I'm going to recommend is Street Angel by Rugg and Maruka. I have been in love with this book for a long time. It was a free comic book day find. They were giving away free issues of this, and I was like, what the heck is this? This one's actually in color, which makes it a little different than others. The art on the surface looks really rough, but when you're flipping through it, it becomes really obvious that the art style is very much like the kind of stuff that a kid would sketch in the back of their Trapper Keeper or something like that. And the whole point of Street Angel is that she's like a 8-year-old little girl that skateboards and is basically like the toughest gang leader you could possibly imagine in this town. She's kicking butt and taking names. She has ninja skills, swords. She fights monsters, everything else. So it is a weird mix. There is some violence in it, so it's probably not appropriate for the very youngest kids, but it's kind of cartoony retro violence. I take it as somewhat ironic, and I really like the book. It's a very fun book for girls that like being a badass. I think this is a must. So if you're the kind of person that likes empowered female heroes and you don't mind a little bit of blood and guts, Street Angel is a way to go. I mean, just look at that. Who could not love that cover right there? I want that jacket. I want to grow up to be Street Angel when I get bigger. All right. So normally we do a few more books and we break it up into adults and kids, but this week is week 5 in a month, and that means most months have 4 comic book weeks. This month has 5 Wednesdays fell in the month, so this 5th week is usually kind of you get a little bit of the leftovers because books are on a monthly schedule. The book comes out once a month, so it'll come out the first week of the month, the second week of the month, the third or the fourth. But the 5th is not, normally needed or planned for, so you get a lot of table scraps. These are the table scraps that I found. I think there's some really good stuff out this week. Would especially go for Fantastic Four Grand Design, and I think that Street Angel. There's lots of other good books too, but those are the ones that had some girl power to them. All right, well, let me know what you guys have in your bag in the comments below. It's good talking to you, and I will see you next week.